Republicans already suing President Obama for what they claim is executive overreach may soon have another example, this time a really big one. Correspondent Shannon Bream tells us the president may try to sidestep Congress again over climate change.
The Obama administration is working to craft an international deal on climate issues, though hedging about whether or not it plans to make an end run around Congress.
Anything that is eventually negotiated and that should go to the Senate will go to the Senate.
A formal treaty would require the approval of 2/3 of the Senate.
Part of the problem is that the past record has shown that the White House has a very narrow view of what must go to the Senate.
The White House today returned to a familiar argument that the president may have no choice but to act unilaterally.
We would not want to enter a situation where we did try to broker an agreement that did require some sort of Senate ratification and then have that fall victim once again, as so many other priorities have, to dysfunction in Congress.
Nothing is going to happen unless you work with the Senate and Congress to actually implement some real climate change legislation.
President Obama has repeatedly identified climate change as a top priority. Here's what he said as he unveiled his climate action plan last summer.
We know that the 12 warmest years in recorded history have all come in the last 15. And that last year was the warmest in American history. In a world that's getting warmer than it used to be, all weather events are affected by it. More extreme droughts, floods, wildfires, and hurricanes.
Yet last winter marked the coldest since 1984, and experts predict 3/4 of the U.S. will see below normal temperatures next winter. Here's how Secretary of State John Kerry frames the debate.
Terrorism, epidemics, poverty, the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction. The reality is that climate change ranks right up there with every single one of them.
But as thousands are being tortured and murdered by extremist groups from Nigeria to Iraq, and tensions are flaring between Russia and Ukraine, skeptics from both sides of the aisle are questioning why the administration is so focused on climate change. That includes House Democrat Nick Rahall, who represents coal-rich West Virginia. Says he'll do everything he can to stop what he's calling, quote, this latest end run around Congress. Brett.
More on this with the panel. Shannon, thank you. So what do you think of the president's climate change plan? Let me know at facebook.com/BrettBairSR or on Twitter @BrettBair. You can use the hashtag special report. Global warming fears are also at the root of a big change coming soon for California drivers. Correspondent William Lajeunesse tells us from Los Angeles it could hit consumers right in the wallet.
I think it's terrible. I mean, the economy, the way it is right now with jobs and everything, it's just crazy.
At 68 cents a gallon, Californians already pay the nation's second highest gas tax. In January, it goes up again.
Gas prices go up, my disposable income goes down.
Who's to blame? Big oil, the Middle East, Wall Street? Actually, it's the state, which is imposing a new tax on oil refiners as part of its climate change law, a cost ultimately paid for by consumers.
What that equates it to right now, today, it's anywhere from 12 to 15 cents a gallon, depending on the price of carbon credits. Now, those could rise, so we could be looking at anywhere from 50 to 60 cents, even $1 a gallon.
Supporters claim it won't cost that much and will help the environment in the long run.
We're going to now tackle probably 40% of the greenhouse gas emissions in the state that are emitted through, mostly through transportation, through oil and gas use.
California already banks $1 billion by taxing carbon. Officials had promised to use that revenue to clean the air. So far, it's paid for affordable housing, high-speed rail, and environmental projects that help some, but not the majority who pay the tax.
I gotta go to my clients and say I'm gonna increase my prices.
So why should you care what Californians pay for a gallon of gas? Because the administration is already drafting rules to require all states to reduce pollution, not just at the smokestack, but the tailpipe as well, squeezing more carbon from everyone's diet to reduce global warming. Brett?
William, thank you. The Veterans Administration office in Philadelphia is reportedly apologizing for characterizing veterans as the Sesame Street character Oscar the Grouch. The Washington Times reports dissatisfied veterans were portrayed as cranky and 100% grouchy on a slideshow that featured Oscar and his garbage can. A VFW official says this is no time to make light of the current crisis over veterans' health care. President Obama will award the nation's highest military honor to a Union Army officer who helped defeat Confederates at Gettysburg 151 years ago. Lieutenant Alonzo H. Cushing died during his heroic stand. He was 22 years old. When we come back, get out your calculator. Make sure the batteries are fresh. We're breaking down the latest huge federal debt numbers and what they mean to you.